Hi, in this video I'm going to talk about how to use EFT to help lower high blood pressure or hypertension. My name is Stefan Gonik. I'm an expert EFT practitioner, trainer, and soulmate attraction mentor at EFTalive.com. All right, so high blood pressure can be caused by both physical factors and emotional factors. Okay, and sometimes it's a combination of both. High blood pressure or hypertension could be completely caused by physical stuff. You know, somebody could be genetic. It could be, somebody's very overweight or something like that. There's a number of physical factors that can do it. You know, hardening of the arteries because of their diet or whatever. And then there's emotional factors that can raise our blood pressure. So for a lot of people, it's kind of a combination of both. The psychological factors can, by itself, give somebody chronic high blood pressure, though. So it's often worth looking into this to see how much you can lower your blood pressure by using EFT. I've had clients who came to me who were on blood pressure medication, and then we addressed the psychological roots of their high blood pressure, and they had to go off the medication because their blood pressure then got too low, right? So for them, the medication was, or I should say the high blood pressure was not physically based, so then the medication became a problem, which is good. They got to stop taking their high blood pressure medication. All right, so what can cause psychologically high blood pressure? Well, there's two different kinds of situations. One is something that's in the moment. I don't know if you've ever done this. This has happened to me. When you're the doctor, the first thing they do is they take a blood pressure, and you're used to having a certain blood pressure that is whatever it is, right? But let's say for some reason you are upset about something, right, that's going on. And as you sit down, you're like thinking about this upsetting thing, and they take your blood pressure and they go, whoa, your blood pressure is 190 over 120. So you're going, wow, what? Oh my God, right? And normally it's 120 over 80. Sheesh. Right? And that's happened to me, like I said, on more than one occasion. So what you do, well, is you take some breaths, you try and get yourself to relax, and then you take it again, and they go, oh, okay, well now it's like 140 over 90. It's come way down. And you say, yeah, okay, even that's a little high, but clearly just by relaxing, I got most of it down, right? So a situation like that is intermittent. It just happens in a given situation, and our body is actually designed to handle that. It's not a problem. The problem is when our high blood pressure is chronic. It's continuous. So then what we need to look for is not some in-the-moment experience. It is some kind of chronic unhealed issue that is creating chronic tension, right? Hypertension, high blood pressure, hypertension, creating some sort of tension in your system on a daily basis. Okay? So we all tend to have those. And so one of the things to think about with EFT and physical issues is I think of it as the weak link in the chain phenomenon, right? Because if you think about it, almost everybody has chronic issues, right? So the question is, why do my chronic issues kind of lead to high blood pressure and somebody else's chronic issues lead to ulcers, or somebody else's chronic issues lead to arthritis or whatever. There's all these different ways it can manifest. And basically, my idea around this is that it's kind of whatever's, the weakest spot in our physiology. It will tend to show up there because the chronic tension is going to impact our whole body. And the part of our body that's the weakest is going to manifest symptoms first, right? And if you keep staying this way, you're going to start manifesting symptoms in multiple parts of your body. So, that's when I help people with physical issues. People are always asking me, well, have you helped somebody with this particular physical issue? And sometimes I have, sometimes I haven't, but it doesn't really matter because the way you address it is the same no matter what the physical issue is, whether it's high blood pressure or anything else. What you want to do is you want to look for the psychological basis of that condition. So it's going to be some kind of chronic thing that is leading to the high blood pressure in this case, or whatever the other physical condition is. Once you identify that, and this can be a bit of an art, trying to locate what it is, because not only do we all have chronic issues, we all tend to have multiple chronic issues, right? We don't just have one. So, and not all of them are contributing to the condition that we are dealing with. So the trick is identifying, what kind of unhealed issue in our life is causing, in this case, the high blood pressure or whatever the other physical ailment is. And then you address that. And then you track your progress. Lots of times there's more than one cause, but the way we verify that we were on the right target is you would remeasure the high blood pressure, and you'll notice that, it's down. It may not be all the way down to where we're trying to get to yet, but if it comes down some, then we know that the thing we just healed was certainly a contributor to the high blood pressure. Right? Anytime we get a positive change, we know we're on the right track. So, okay, good. We've got one of the sources. So then you start looking around for a second source. Heal that one. Check your high blood pressure again. It's like, it's come down some more. Right? It's come down another 10 points or something like that. And you go, awesome, right? This is working. It's coming down, 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 down. So then you look for another source. You heal that one. And at some point, after you've healed enough of them, and it doesn't necessarily have to take many. It's not like there's always like 10 different sources, but whatever it is, there could be 3, 4, 5, something like that. Eventually, your blood pressure will get to a really nice level, and you go, all right, right, this worked. So, I've helped a lot of people do that kind of thing, like I say, with many different elements. So EFT can work amazingly well for doing this. Now, so there's hope to address your high blood pressure without having to be on blood pressure medications and all their side effects for the rest of your life, which is cool. Now, here's another thing to keep in mind, though, which is a very interesting phenomenon. Our physical issue that we just healed, right? Let's say your blood pressure is now normal, 120/80. And let's say somebody else's physical issue is whatever their issue is. That particular physical issue becomes what I call the canary in the coal mine. I don't know if you've ever heard of that idea, but back in the olden days in mines, before they had electronic equipment to measure gases in the mine, they would literally bring a cage with a canary in it down into the mine. And the reason why they did this is that the canary was way more sensitive to the gases that would harm a human than a human was. So they'd have this canary on a walkway. And so every miner was walking by this canary, and they'd all glance in the cage. And hopefully the canary's sitting on their cage. But at some point, one of them might notice that the canary is now laying on the floor of the cage, in which case they go, all right, everybody out, right? Because that means gas levels are rising, because these gases are odorless, right? So they couldn't smell them. So the gas level is rising, and if they stayed in the mine, they were going to die, right? So they would get everybody out. So the canary in the coal mine. So our physical issue that we address this way often becomes our canary in the coal mine. So it's something you want to kind of keep an eye on, because it's the same place in your body that something else that happens will show up in. So what I mean by that is, for instance, I had this client who was a chiropractor, and he was moving into a new office, and he did all these renovations. And as he was setting up his new office, he was having all these breathing problems. And at first he thought, well, maybe it has something to do with the dust and da-da-da. Turns out it had nothing to do with that. Turns out it had something to do between him and his father. I'm not going to go into details, it's his private stuff, but once we addressed that, his breathing stuff went away. It's like, well, he could breathe fine, comfortably, perfectly well. Several months later, he came back to me and he goes, Stefan, it's back again. And he thought that the healing hadn't lasted, it wasn't permanent. But it turns out, I said, well, what's been going on in your life lately? And it turns out there was this big issue that he wasn't addressing. And because he wasn't addressing it, it showed up again as a breathing problem. So his breathing difficulties became his canary in the coal mine, letting him know that there was a significant or serious issue happening in his life that he wasn't addressing, because he had a tendency to avoid stuff, right? So this was kind of a way for his body to go, no avoiding, right? If you want to breathe well, you have to go address that issue. So, like I said, whatever the physical issue is, it tends to be our canary in the coal mine. So if you have high blood pressure and you use EFT in this way and it comes all the way down, don't just assume that it's going to stay low forever. You're going to want to still check it periodically. And if you notice that it has come up and it's stayed up, right? Because in any one day you can have a high value because of, remember I said that intermittent thing. But let's say you test it 3 days in a row and you have high, 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 you go, uh-oh. So, but the uh-oh is more of a, okay, coming to my attention. This is bringing something to my attention. So you want to look at your life and see, okay, what's going on in my life? There's some new issue that's arisen. Maybe there's some problem in my marriage. Maybe there's some problem with a coworker. Maybe, whatever it might be, but it's going to be some kind of significant problem, not a minor one. And you go, I need to do some tapping on that. And once you tap and clear, or maybe there's something you actually have to do to address it, right? So once you've either addressed it successfully or tapped the feelings down, then check your blood pressure and you'll see that, it's come back down again. It's good again. So it's your canary in the coal mine. So anyway, the good news is that it can be possible to bring your blood pressure, way down towards normal by addressing the psychological factors. So we'll be able to clear as much of your blood pressure as is psychologically based. So if there's some physical basis, then that's still there, of course. But what you'll find is if you're on blood pressure medication, if you may not be able to stop it completely, but they're going to at least lower your dose because your dose is now too high, right? If you've already brought it down a lot. So, it's wonderfully empowering knowing that we can address these kind of issues as well as a lot of other issues, in fact. All right, well, I hope this video was helpful. If it was, it would help me and other people find the video. If you can click on that like button. You're also welcome to subscribe to my channel for other helpful EFT videos. And on my website, I have this really cool and helpful ebook called Change Your Beliefs, Change Your Life Using the Magic of EFT. For not everyone's aware of this, but our negative beliefs often control our lives in very negative ways that really limit us. And by shifting those from negative beliefs to positive beliefs, which I talk about it in the ebook, make really big improvements in our life. All right, so keep tapping and I'll see you on the next video.